Paul, imagine, and I use that word advisedly, imagine that I'm a Mansfield Town fan and that over the past couple of weeks we've seen your side get knocked out of the FA Cup, FA Trophy, and you've only won one game in your last 10 games. Convince me that there's a positive future for this side.
I think the stats say that it's a positive future, you know. Even though you say that, we've lost one game a month since the beginning of the season, you know, and we're now 5 points off the playoffs, 7 points off, I think still fourth place with the game in hand. We've averaged 1.5 points per game since the beginning of the season.
You're not on an upward curve though, are you?
No, it doesn't matter about upward curves or downward curves, does it? It means we've come into the Christmas period. If you said to me at the beginning of the season, would we have taken losing one league game a month, i.e. five games since the beginning of the season, and would we still be in the pack at Christmas time? That's what I asked, when we kick-started everything. So, and we're still in the pack chasing it. So, it's a scenario where could we have done better? Yeah, and I think the one sort of trend we've got to look at is that we've drawn 10 games, which I think has cost us. You put half of them games into wins, or you put 5 wins and 5 losses, with 5 points better off. We're probably sat in the playoff place now. So there'll be some doom and gloom merchants out there that say that we're struggling. I think it's a law of averages. That we've gone through. We've let ourselves down in the cups, and we've got to put our hands up and we've got to say we haven't been good in the two cup competitions. But I think in the league in general, if you'd have said 5 games since the beginning of the season losing, I'd have taken that, and the position that we're in, I'd have probably taken that as well.
Looking back on your time so far at Mansfield Town Football Club, has this been a bigger job than you expected?
I wouldn't say a bigger job. I'd say that there was a lot more to do. When I came in, you seem to you take time to sort of bed yourself in, but then you realise that there's X, Y, and Z needs doing as well. So, but no, you never get a job that's you walk into it and everything's laid out in front of you. But we've got to be realistic about where we are. I'm quite happy about where we are. The one thing I was downbeat about was the amount of games we've drawn. Like I say, you put 5 of them into wins and 5 losses. With 5 points better off, we sat in the playoff place. But we're in touching distance to the playoffs. We've come into the season. If we'd have won on Saturday, we'd come in half the season with 40 points. So I don't think there's a lot to be downbeat about. It's just like the law of averages. That we haven't. I'm saying we haven't played particularly well. I thought we played really well on Saturday, but we didn't get a result. But in other games, we haven't played well and won, i.e. Alfreton. So there'll be a lot more twists and turns, and there'll be a lot more ups and downs before the season finishes.
Pressure. It's a word that you've used to describe what your side has been under here at home and at times away from home. How about yourself? Have you been under pressure since you've been here?
I think you're always under pressure as a manager, aren't you? And I think it comes with the job title. But some managers give themselves different pressure. I've said right from the start, and I've got to be consistent in what I say. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be successful.
The pressure was there from the start, wasn't it? Because the chairman said you'd come to this football club, and your one aim was to get this football club promoted. So the pressure was on from minute one, wasn't it? Yeah,
but I think and that's still the aim. Now, how people interpret that is down to the individual. Some people think that he needs to do that in his first season. If I do that, and this not being me being arrogant, but I'm not at Mansfield Town at the end of the season. If I got this club promoted and won the Championship in my first season, as you've seen, you get picked off. You're usually managing at the Championship. So there has to be a sense of realism, and a realism in my head. Is that this is the first season at the club. For a lot of players, it's the first season. And if you think back to when we started the season, pre-season, everyone was talking about gelling and how quickly we can get this team to gel and put in a side together that will the ultimate aim is to get promotion. Now, we're still on course, I think, for in and around the playoffs. To be honest, this time last year I was about 7th from bottom, and we finished 4th in the table. So there'll be a side that comes with a massive, strong run now, and we're one of 10 clubs that could get promoted this season.
I've I critique your last answer. It sounds like you're planning for the long term and hoping in the short term.
No, you can't plan long term in football. You know, because football's a results-based business. What I'm saying is that any club that has had success, if you put the two clubs who've got promoted over the last 2 years, Crawley and Stevenage, if you are analytical over there where they finished in the 3 previous seasons before they got promoted, there was, I think, 13th, 10th and something like 9th before they actually got promoted. That says to me that building blocks were put in place, strong foundations, and there was a continuity, and there was a strong mindset at the club that our ultimate game is to get out of this league. Now, as we've seen, a lot of teams come down, a lot of teams throw money at it, a lot of teams think they're going to do it in their first season and fall by the wayside.
If I just stop you at that point then and say, if you were to get promoted this season, either automatically or you did get yourself into the playoffs, would it be more by luck than design?
It's never by luck. You never get promoted by luck. I've never met a team that gets promoted by luck. You get promoted because you're the best team over the course of a season. You know, luck will only guarantee you a few points. You know, where you win a game where you really shouldn't do. Over a 46-game season, it's not luck. It's because you're the best manager. It's because you're the best team. That's why I've always rang up managers that have won championships, because it's the hardest thing to do. And there's not many managers with winning a championship on their CV. So it's never by luck. It's always because you've got the best players, the best squad, and you know, the strongest mindset.
You're a fighter, aren't you?
I always fight. You know, in this business, this is a really ruthless business, and you never come into it with any kind of any mindset other than to fight. You know, if you don't fight in this business, you're not willing to scrap and you know, fight for everything, then you fall by the wayside. As simple as that.
So obviously a long season, but looking at the table now, the 2 games with York are massive for you, aren't
they?
Tuesday.
I don't really, because of my previous seasons, John.
Yeah.
I don't see these games as being sort of massive. I really don't, and that's not me trying to play the game. Like last season, you know, like I say, we were something like 7th from bottom at this stage of the season, and I've looked down the table now, and in the second half of the season, well, if you look at the first half of the season, the places we had to go, if you're going through the season and going red for a loss, green for a win, amber for a draw, there was a lot of reds in there, because you just went Stockport away. Wow, if I come away from there with something, we've done well. Darlington, Barrow, all these kind of clubs, and we've ticked them off. What I'm saying is that going into the second half of the season, and this is the thing about sort of seeing the second half of the season and going, we've got a lot of the crappy games. Don't get me wrong, we've got Luton away, and we've got them kind of clubs, but we're a club that is capable, and a team that's capable of going on a run.